Hi, I'm Anthony from Sydney Backyard Veggies. Just out in my patch this afternoon, I'm going to plant my second round of cucumber seedlings. I planted my first crop in September and I've been harvesting cucumbers off them for the last 6 to 8 weeks. But with the warmer weather that we've been having and the more humidity, I've been starting to see a bout of spider mites coming through the patch, and it's starting to suck the life out of those plants. So it's time to replace them. But what I'm going to be doing today is just going through and planting 2 rows of cucumbers in between my tomatoes and my bush beans here to the left. And what I've done is at the moment is I've come through and dug over the patch, and I'm going to start adding my amendments. But before I do that, I want to go over and show you what my new cucumber seedlings look like and the variety I'm looking at planting out. So before I start planting out my seedlings, I just want to show you what the variety I'm growing. This variety is called Craig, and it's another commercial greenhouse variety. Now, the previous planting that I had out in my garden is called Kasib, and I found that it worked really, really well. But unfortunately, the online store that I buy those seeds from no longer sells them, but they've gifted me this variety instead to try out. So thankful for that. The website I go to is called Active Vista, so look them up. These seedlings I started about 4 weeks ago, but because of the warm weather that we've been having, I gave them a little bit of fertilizer. They've really grown long and they're starting to vine up. Ideally, I won't want to be planting them this big. You want to be getting them probably a week ago in the ground. It's just the weather's just been really, really difficult to plant. I've got 20 seedlings here at the moment, and I'm looking at trying to plant these all out. So I'm going to go get the bed ready, and once I do that, we'll show you how I plant these out. So to prepare the bed for planting the cucumbers, I've gone and added 2 bags of cow manure. Cucumbers do like a lot of nitrogen, and at this stage, when I first plant them, I like to use cow manure. I have also added the horse manure compost previously, so that's a lot of fertility there in the soil. I've just spread out the 2 bags across the bed, and what I'm going to do now is add a bit of dolomite lime. The dolomite lime sweetens that soil, adds a bit of calcium to help support the fruit development. And once I've put that across, I will dig it in with my hoe, and then I'll spread out the bed to make it level with my rake. I will add at later dates potash and more nitrogen fertilizer, including chicken manure pellets, but at this stage there's enough fertilizer in the soil for now. Once I've done that, I'll go and set up my rows. So in planting my cucumbers, I'm looking at putting down 2 rows down the length of the bed, and I'm going to try to set the rows out 60 centimeters apart. I'm actually quite close here to the tomatoes and to the beans, but because I'm facing north, the tomatoes won't shadow the beans, so it's fine to bring them quite close. And these tomatoes should be gone out here in about 3 weeks time, so it gives me a bit more space for the cucumbers. But using my hoe, I'm just going to try to see if I can form quite a straight trench. Now you could also use the rake, and generally speaking I would use the rake to do this, but I'm just a bit tight for space here at the moment, so the hoe would have to do. Now what I do is I come through and just flatten out the sides, making sure the trench is relatively stable. I'm looking at in the order of 60 centimeters, so just about here. And again, I will form my trench. So now that I've finished those trenches, I'm going to come through now and plant out my seedlings in this spot. So in the trenches, I'm looking at planting my seedlings at that 20 centimeters apart spacing. That's, I find, works well in my context and gets enough plants to make it worthwhile in terms of density. So what I'm doing is digging a depression in the bed and bringing my seedlings out. Now these seedlings are slightly bigger than ideal, but look at that, it's my seedling. What I'm going to do is actually just plant it to the top of that seed ball, so just bringing it to the soil around, slightly covering it up, but the idea is these should be ready to be trellised sooner rather than later. Now these are still, although they're quite large, they are quite delicate still, so they're going to need a bit of sun protection, especially this hot weather we're going to have in the next few days. But that's planted. I'm going to try to do it 20 centimeter spacings, see how many I can get. I'm aiming to get 20 plants all total, 10 per row, but I might end up getting a bit less than that. But I'm trying to plant whatever I can. I'm going to come through now and continue on planting in the rows. When I'm planting my seedlings, I prefer to plant in the late afternoon. I find in doing so you give the plant a chance to settle in overnight and it gets away from the harshness of the sun. I will also like to firm the soil around the base of the plant. Don't be too shy to do so. Plants are surprisingly resilient. Really happy with how beautiful these seedlings are. Looking perfect. So I just finished off planting out those seedlings and I ended up getting 14 in the patch. I still have a few left over, which I'll keep around just in case some of them fail and I can replace them with new seedlings. But just giving them a watering in and they should be fine. Now I'm going to add some shade structure. I just checked the forecast and it's going to be quite hot for the next few days. So to give them a chance to settle in, I'm just going to put a couple of bed sheets over some structure just to keep the sun off. I'm expecting, because of the weather that we've been having, these are going to be flying, and I'll be putting my trellis structure in here in about 2 weeks time, and I will come back to you and show you how I've done that. I do that for these plants, but I'm really happy to get my second cucumber plantings in, and I'm hoping that I will be harvesting from these plants in about 8 to 10 weeks time, so early Feb when I'll start harvesting. So happy that's done. And I'll go install that shade structure in now. So it's been a couple of days since I planted out my cucumber seedlings, and I'm just going to bring you across here to show you where the seedlings are at and how they're progressing. So these plants have now been planted in the ground for 3 days now, and we've been having some really hot weather here in Sydney, so I do have my shade structure on them. But if I just pull the shade structure back just to show you how the plants are looking at the moment, yeah, you can see they've settled in quite well, and it's just good to give them a chance to just sit in there and just prepare. Now this one is getting a bit of sun on it, but that's fine. It will freshen up. Make sure they're well watered every day, and hopefully in about 3 or 4 days, if we have a couple of cooler days later in the week, what I might do is I will take off the shade structure to let them just acclimatize. But I'm really happy with how these look. Yeah, I have put on a bit of growth, as you can see, and yeah, I'm looking forward to getting some more cucumbers this season. And before I wrap up this video, I just wanted to give you an update on my first planting of cucumbers. These are the ones that I've had in the ground about in mid-September, and yeah, they've been producing really well. But I just wanted to show you some issues that I've been starting to see coming through these plants and how I will deal with those. So just as a recap on my cucumber plants, this variety is called Casib, and I planted this out in mid-September as seedlings, 2 rows. And I've got a total of 20 plants in here, and they were planted in 2 rows, 6 centimeters apart and 20 centimeters apart within the rows between the seedlings. Now, I had built the string trellis, and I've been training the plants up across the trellis, as you can see there. And it's come to the top where I've now installed the mesh. And I'll put a link in the description on the video as to how I installed this trellis system. Things I'm seeing at the moment is we've been having some really hot and humid weather in Sydney over the last week. And as a result, I've been seeing two things that have been coming through my veggies, and my cucumbers in particular. The first thing you can see is spider mite damage. Now, if you're looking at this here, you can just see classic signs of spider mite damage is a really papery leaf. You can see these splotches that come up, these yellow splotches. And spider mites are a sap-sucking insect, and then they just suck the life out of these plants. And another sign, if you can just bring it across, you can probably just see that there's actually a little web, and you'll see the web just there. And that's another sign that spider mites are here, and you can just see the web just there as well. Just see if I can get that in the camera. So the point is that, you know, I'm okay with these having spider mites. They are coming to the end of their productive life. I've had these plants in the ground now for about 4 months, so they're due to come out. So how best to control this? Generally speaking, when I am struggling with the likes of spider mites, I will use wettable sulfur, and it works well on most vegetables. The issue with cucumbers is you can't actually use it. You can't use wettable sulfur. It actually burns the plants. So please don't use it. You can try to use pyrethrum to control it, but generally speaking, if you plant your plants early enough and you get the crop off, it's okay. I prefer to plant out a new batch. You can also, I might bring you a bit closer, I'm also starting to get a little bit more mildew, even though I've been spraying with liquid copper. Eventually just the humidity gets away with you. If you want, you can actually remove all these damaged leaves and give them a treatment. And what I'll do is I'll generally just come through, remove all of those leaves, and really clean it up. And make sure you bin those leaves, but that would prolong the life of the crop. But besides that, might give them a final feed of chicken manure pellets and a little bit of potash just to keep them going. But yeah, I'm expecting to pull these guys out in about 3 to 4 weeks time, which will be good timing, because I'll be expecting that my cucumbers, the second planting, will be quite close to production by then. So yeah, no, they've been good this year. I've got a lot of fruit off them, and they've been productive. I can't get anything more out of these crops, so happy for that. So in terms of future plantings of cucumbers, I'm expecting to get one more planting in the ground in about late January, and that will be the end of the season. I find that as we move further into late summer, it just gets too late for the cucumbers to produce. But I do want to try to get cucumbers all the way up to April, May. So I will be looking at doing one last planting then. But all in all, it's been a really good summer for cucumbers in my patch. Getting them started earlier is really a key to getting high production out of your cucumbers in Sydney. So look, thank you very much everyone for joining me in this video. I really appreciate all the support, and I hope you get a few tips and pointers for your cucumber plantings, and I hope to see you in the next video.